All right, listen, I'm a super festive guy. And I'm a super creative guy. And I'm a super musical guy. I'm a creative, musical, festive guy. I like the holidays. They're important to me. I like the holidays, so I like to do festive things. I like to do things that relate to the season that I'm in. It makes my brain do the good tingles when I do festive things during a festive season. It's been spooky season all month long. Spooky season, and if I'm on time here, this video should go up on Halloween if I'm not a piece of shit and I can't finish it in the time that I wanted. I do like to do a festive, creative, and musical thing. I like to put all those things together. And so I got this really outstanding vinyl record. My sister gifted this to me. This is the Resident Evil soundtrack, the OG. I really love the Resident Evil franchise. I love video games. Games are another thing I like to do. During spooky season, I like to play spooky games. And one of the spooky games I always go back to is the original Resident Evil. To compensate for graphical limitations, you had to have music that really set an eerie, spooky tone. This is the iconic zombie reveal right here. This is the iconic first zombie from the game when he turns around eating your partner. And then you see that there's a really spooky face right here too. I really like this artwork. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a spooky face there. You can see the reflection of the camera, but look, there's a spooky face in there. And then the mansion is down there, which is also very spooky. I love to sample vinyl records from my collection, and I like to, do the cliche to make like a lo-fi beat because you get the snaps and crackles of the vinyl recording the audio on the way in. And I thought to myself, I'm like, can I make a beat out of something from this incredible record that I love so much? The soundtrack from the first game really sets the tone for the creepy mansion that you're wandering around. There's some tension, but fortunately, there's also some moments of this really relaxing, chilled out music that is cued when you're either in a safe room or at a cutscene where you're meeting one of your partners, and there's like a moment of, ooh, we're all right, we're not going to get ate by zombies. So I wanted to take a piece of that and I wanted to turn it into a beat. So I sat down and I just listened to the record front to back, and I sat there and recorded little bits and pieces as I went through my interface so that I can chop up the audio and use it to make a beat. And what you're about to see is that whole process, as well as me adding the instruments to really bring the tune to life and hopefully take this real spooky soundtrack, this real spooky boy right here, and turn it into a relaxing lo-fi beat that you could perhaps study or relax to. So without further ado, let's get into it. So I'm coming back in here retroactively because I recorded this all on OBS another night. So what we're watching, or listening to I should say, what's going on down here is I listened to the soundtrack, pulled it through the system, and basically just clipped all of these snippets. They're my favorite, and as you can see, most of them are just really haunting. And then there's, of course, the pretty safe room music. There's some eerie stuff, mostly just eerie and jarring, dissonant sounds. And then I find this. This was real nice. Oh, that's so nice. But yeah, this is where I was like, this is my sample right here. That's very pretty. And this is just desolate, more desolate, more desolate. And at first I thought, maybe we'll go for spooky. I thought about maybe making something spooky, but as you can see, I find myself meandering here to this very beautiful, relaxing bit that I found. The first time I sat down and listened to the record, I actually fell asleep in the chair, and I was awoken to some like big orchestra hits and scary noises on the record. It scared the shit out of me. So after I selected the sample, now I'm looking for percussion, and my favorite drum samples are the Mixcraft's 70s Funk Collection. These loops are just fantastic. I don't know who the session drummer was or if they programmed it, but oh my god, it's just my go-to. There are so many great options. Gone to a 95 BPM, which is pretty standard like lo-fi hip-hop groove. And we're actually just going to steal this little kick and hat here. Now we're going to steal this little snare drum, our own, using this tricky little reverse to switch up the sound. That's very nice. That's very nice. I like that a lot. Good job past me. That reverse causes the hat sound to rev into the snare sound. It's almost like it's breathing. It's really pulling it through. I like to use reverse to kind of add that breathy sound to these drum and percussion patterns. 70s funk drum beat, never letting me down. So now we have designated channels for each piece of the kit now. See, we're going to name them. There's our kick. There's our whoosh. And a snare with a... I love how I made this more fun for myself to watch. He's sticking his tongue out. So now we're going to reverse the reverse sample so it brings it back to where it started with the hat sound, except the sample quality has degraded just a little bit. I like that. That's a very, very groovy, very breathy pattern. I need more kick. More kick. Give me more kick. We've taken those elements from the 70s funk loops, and we have used those elements to build our own drum pattern. Ooh, the reverse on the snares. So now the whole thing really breathes. We're kind of following that theme of this breathing percussion sound. It really carries the beat nicely, and it helps to differentiate from the loop enough that, you know, it's something that feels original. Okay, here we go. Now we are putting them all together, putting all the pieces together. Now we got the foundation. The foundation for a great beat. We need to level everything out here. Everything is absolutely loud as fuck. So now we got our beat going, and we've leveled things out so that nothing is slapping above the 0 marker. Finally, we're gonna start playing with the sample that we took from the record. It's very pretty. We're just gonna build on the chord sound. It's a really pretty sound, and it's not only the sound design the Capcom team used, but that sound on a vinyl record running through the system. Like, that's a very smooth chord. That is a very pleasant sound. And so now it's just finding the right attack and release, or attack and decay. That is so nice. I could listen to just that sound all day. It's a nice kitty. We're tweaking the chord sound with some effects to help carry the sound. Got some very basic delay going here. Something to repeat it back at us and give it some nice sustain. We're gonna look for more chords to play with. Yeah, D major is what we're writing in here. This is a G chord that you hear first, and now this next one that I pulled from the sample is a D, and it's like a dissonant D chord. I think it's the major 7th, but it's very pleasant to the ear. The chords that they've chosen and the sound that they've chosen to play those chords with is just that's nice with that real breathy beat too. It feels good. It feels natural. It feels like it belongs here. Pretty RE, pretty Resident Evil. Very fitting. Good job. Good titling, former me. I just kind of said, fuck all the spooky shit. We can't do shit with this. So we're just going to take the easy way out and take the most relaxing chords we could find. So we go searching. There we go. That's the minor 7th. So that lends itself very well to kind of break away from the main progression. It's very pretty, and it flows really well. We need to move this arrangement around. Once again, just kind of tweaking levels and some basic EQ. You can kind of feel a little bit of mud there in the mix. Just taking the bass off everything just a little bit. Another variant of that chord, and this one swells in so nicely, so this is where I decide to cap it off. So now we finally have a satisfactory progression. We're gonna adjust some reverb on the snare now so that we can get the echo sound, but that it's not overwhelming. So I just kind of sat here and was tweaking these parameters, the gain parameters and everything, just to get a sound that's, you know, it carries, but it's not overwhelming, and it's not leaving a big muddy trail. A muddy trail in its wake. I don't like it when a snare leaves a big muddy trail in its wake. Alright, so this is what playing with the percussion again to give it even more breath. I picked this classic chorus and this preset, the string pad flanger. As the name would insinuate, there is a flange effect to it. It lends itself really well to the whoosh sound. The flange effect is catching more of the reverb off the snare and pulling the reverb sound with it. and then that kind of coincides with the whoosh, because it already has the breath effect that's coming from the reverse I did on the hat sound. So now you have that mending very well with the flange. Trippy Snare Squad, that was a good production choice to really kind of juice up that percussion that we already had going, and it also feels really natural with those chords because the chords really breathe that sound, that electric piano sound. So this is where we want to start making things a little more interesting. The select an effect here. We've already got our delay from before that's carrying the main riff. But this auto filter, as you can see, you just apply the filter and can tweak the LFO settings to have it follow a certain fraction or percentage of the beat. So we're gonna crank it so that the effect is at the 100% point of the output, so you're only hearing the affected portions. And then we're just going to play with these parameters, because what this is going to do is going to juggle those sounds in the filter with the LFO, and it's going to create almost like an arpeggiated sound from the chord, because you're hearing all those different harmonics, and it basically creates this really trippy arpeggio, like I said, and it's going to help it continue to there's a breath to the sound. You can really feel the tempo with that airy pull that we're getting, and now you have the main chord hits, but you also have these like faux arpeggios going on that are built on those chords. And I've panned that out to the farthest side, and I'm going to duplicate that and pan one hard right as well. See, now there's actually some motion there. Just going to the right side, I'm going to tweak up the filter type here and play with the parameters again, just to help it differentiate a little bit from the hard left pan version. So we basically have like two similar but not exactly the same arpeggio type LFO lines going on right now. Just playing with some more layering. Here I decided to drop the riff an octave and pan it about halfway to the left, trying to pull away some of the lows here in favor of a sound that, just like the easy cue described, like it's still dark, but it's not so overwhelming. R is for right, L is for left. Did you know that? Now we have our primary chords, our main riff. Then we have the low variant of the main riff, pan slightly off left. And then we have arpeggiated, filtered versions of the main riff, hard left and hard right, plus the original percussive line, the beat that we built with the 70s funk loops. But then we've processed that a whole bunch so that there's all of this extra space and breathing going on here. It's very lively. It's got a good feel. It's lively, but in a calming kind of way. So like very much the opposite of the game that it comes from, that is generally very dreadful. And not I'm gonna throw a disco tambourine on here. We need something shaken to really keep it all together. We want that to be like microscopic in the mix. So I thought that the shake sound by itself was kind of off for this beat. But then I remember we've been reversing everything to make it fit. See, that's much nicer. It still sounds like the tambourine, but you can tell something's off, but like an untrained ear wouldn't know that it's reversed necessarily. So that's a cool effect. It fits. In order to make the reverse tambourine work, I had to kind of offset the pattern from the rhythm a little bit here. And we are using our Trippy Snare Squad effect rack that we built earlier to kind of carry that with the flanger effect, so that everything is kind of riding that same wave. It just makes it sound more cohesive. So what we're doing here is we're going to cut back the ARP lines, because we don't just want to, lay it all on the line at once. We want some sort of build, even though it's a really simple progression and a really simple beat, purposefully. As one of those like lo-fi beats to relax to. It's not a lot going on, but you still want there to be some sort of build of tension. So instead of having the ARPs go right away, I pulled them back over there. See, And now when they come in, it just flows a little more naturally, and they come in with the disco tambourine. So at the beginning of the song now, the drum beat is mostly what's doing all the breathing, but then gradually we're starting to see this build now with the arpeggios and then the tambourine sounds. Okay, so after I went back and reviewed the disco tambourine section, once we lined that all up in that little video clip, the OBS clip of me doing commentary over that clip really glitched out and cut a lot of the audio from the next section. So I'm just going back into the project to show you what I added after the tambourines. The next step was to find some fills, and naturally, as you can see, we went back to our 70s funk collection because they match really well. All the kick and snare sounds will match up automatically with what we use to build our beat. And naturally, I added our Trippy Snare Squad effect rack so that it can be coherent with all of the other percussion going on so far. And so it just adds a little extra spark here. See, that's nice. To go along further with the pattern of the reverses, I added a funk fill here, but I reversed the clip and lined it up the same way that we did the disco tambourine. So now you're getting the reverse snare, and that's what kind of carries us into the arpeggio section. It's guiding us in. And also bongos. I found a good bongo sample. I got a dog here. Look at the puppy doggies. Look at the puppy doggies. Oh my gosh, the puppy doggies. Oh, the puppy doggies. Oh, the puppy doggies. Okay, get down. I'm done with you. I found a nice bongo sample, also in Mixcraft's library. This bongo bit here, I did the same thing I've done with all of the other percussion. I panned this one over, about 36% left. It just kind of follows the hat patterns. So if you listen to the hat, there's just a nice little back and forth, a little riffing between the hats and the bongos. So that just really adds more texture. And then you have those fills. We have a ride cymbal that I tuned to actually match the key of the song. So instead of having a crash, we have this really cool tuned ride going on. And it follows the chords. It's kind of messy when you listen to them by themselves, but you can really hear the harmonics ring when you put it all together. So now our beat, before we add instruments in real life, all the samples and all the samples and the one shots that we've built, edited, and processed sound like this. Flows with that flange effect, and then that little reverse on the snare pattern brings us into the arpeggiated riffs, and we get the little chimes from that tuned ride cymbal. I didn't want to use a crash because I thought a crash might be a little too extreme. We're looking for a very mellow vibe with this tune, so I didn't want a big another fill. See, and that fill carries us into that minor 7th chord. So yeah, there's a really good flow to the sound. And now to move us out of this first section, I've done this really cool trick that I always used to do when I first started producing. And I've taken this deep kick sample and I've added a reverb. It's a Canon reverb, so essentially just like the wettest, widest preset that they have available, just cranked. We used the EZQ and we fitted our sound right about here, and then we used the pad flanger just so that the ring from this kind of follows the flow of the rest of the percussion. So what happens is, much like with how the flange carries the reverb from the snare drum like we did earlier, the flange effect is now carrying the echo from the deep kick. So when we play that, it's almost like an explosion. And so that really helps when we drop out the rest of the percussion here. So now we've got the tambourine and the arpeggios going, but we've cut out the snare. I'm not sure what I want to do with the tambourine yet. It kind of leaves and re-enters at an odd point. But yeah, from this point now, we have everything I want as far as the samples and the percussion goes. And then it ends with another one of those. And you're still hearing the delay on both the chords and the arpeggiated chords, and that carries us out of the song. Now it's time to add some real instruments. I already envisioned a couple of things I wanted to add. Obviously, we're going to need a bass line. My 12-string acoustic guitar I found has some really pretty sounds that accent this beat really nicely. So I'm going to do 2 runs of chords, one in standard and one in drop D, because the key of the song is D, and you get some really rich harmonics with that drop D 12-string. And then a xylophone. I think a xylophone is gonna sound really pretty when I mix some of those tones with the chords we got going. So let's record those parts and then jump back into the project so that I can mix and mash them all together and get this thing churned out in time for Halloween. So we're getting the old guitar set up. It's got a very rich sound. Hey, look, those levels aren't bad. Can you hear me down there? Can you hear me down there? Can you hear me down there? All right, the levels and the EQ are pretty good. So I'm going to do a run of standard chords, and then I'm going to tune to drop D and then play some chords in the drop D tuning. And then I'm going to do just some leads, just some improv in D major. That was shitty. The mic positioning is really everything here. Puppy, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Shit. Fucking poopy. Try again. All right, count-ins, baby. We gotta get this chord instead. Oh shit, I have fucked it up again. All right, that's pretty good. I think that's what we're looking for. So now we gotta tune down. Oh, and we're clipping. God damn it. I did the same bullshit twice. It's funny, very fitting that I would do it in the same place twice. Yeah. Ah, fuckers. God damn it. Poopy pants. Shit. I gotta get down here. I gotta get down here so you can hear me clearly. The front of the microphone's right here. How do you like that? How you like them apples? Gotta do some leads now. I like that. Guitar, I am satisfied. Guitar is complete. I've gotten everything I want from this boy. Who's ready for a xylophone? Just some simple stuff in D major, kind of add to the ooh ah feel. I think that's the thought process here anyway. We're going to see how that works. We're going to see how that pans out after we get in there. I feel like there's some tuning discrepancies going on, so we might have to play with the sample, but I'm satisfied. I think I'm satisfied with that. All right, it is officially the moment of truth. We've got all of our samples, all of our percussion, our loops, all of our processing, all of our real instruments have been recorded, and I've begun, preliminary mixing on everything here once I heard it myself. We've got our standard chords, and then this is labeled standard, but it's actually the D chords to the left. I've got them panned so that the lower notes are hitting on the left side. Got some EQ going. We've got our lead, and on the lead guitar I have applied a panning notch auto filter. So basically it just carries the signal around the stereo spectrum, so it's not really sitting left or right. It just kind of goes in between, which accents really well with the flange effect that we've got in the percussion, but it's not quite the same, just similar. And then we've got our simple bass line laid down here with my purple bass guitar. And yeah, we have pretty much the whole thing, so I'd love to hear what it sounds like. Okay, right there, I don't like how the xylophone rang with the chord on that particular note. Sometimes it feels in tune, sometimes it feels out of tune. It's kind of confusing. That time it feels pretty off. I don't know if it's because of something with the guitars, but we're gonna pull back some of the xylophone hits here and there. I named it Zyduck. Also disclaimer, I'm pretty sure since it has the metal keys, it's a glockenspiel, not a xylophone. So just please go back and replace all of the word xylophone with the word glockenspiel. I want that very subtle. Okay, so we'll come in on that. Yeah, that's nice. I want there to just be hints of that. Honestly, I'm really happy with how this is all flowing. I'm just testing a little bit more of the xylophone bit, but we're pushing the system really hard. recording this at the same time that we're mixing. But really all I'm doing right now is just listening for more xylophone notes to sound off, and then I'm going to pop off the headphones, and then I'm going to toss on my master channel. I've just got a preset called Master Queso. That's my nickname, Queso. Master, like master, you know? You got it? You got it? Because it's the master track, you know? So we've got good old isotope mastering tools, like the Noob I Am. Just a little bit of equalization. I think I turned off, or no, I have just a little bit of the stereo widening on, and then a compressor. So pretty noob stuff, but it really does bring it to life. Listen, it's gonna be a drastic shift in volume here. Oh, it just doesn't even work. I can't play it through the clip. Anyway, just correcting the xylophone, and then we're gonna get the mix down, and so I'll show you guys the final product here. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I took spooky sounds from this very spooky record and made a very relaxing beat. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, I'd really appreciate it. If you don't even have to smash the like button. You can just give it a little poke or a tickle. Maybe subscribe and hit the bell so you get to see my beautiful face every time I upload a video. And I'll see you guys next time.